GCMMA guys coming to you with our card reaction for Fight Night Allen versus Curtis 2. We had grander plans for this reaction, but the special guest who was supposed to be featured in the video, let's just go ahead and say, didn't make it to the video.
He was he got taken down by the beers. The beers took him out of the reaction, but it was an all right card. I don't like a
Well, I
couple good,
counted it. There are
but
12 fights and 4 finishes. So I know there was the fight with Trevor Peek and stuff. We're gonna get through the whole card. It was an okay card. It was definitely better than last week, I'd say. And surely better than Rebos versus Namajunas. But
that's not saying much.
yeah, the first fight to go over, we'll cover the ones we didn't talk about in the predictions if anything notable happened. I really don't feel like anything of any merit happened before the fights that we talked about. So
I
let's
mean,
just,
I like Cesar Almeida's performance, and then when he got on the mic, he said, "I've arrived, motherfuckers! I've arrived."
yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what's next for Cesar Almeida. I mean, he's 36. He might be like the next type of Alex Pereira where he's coming in a little bit older and he's like coming in scorching hot or some shit and he gets some good fights. But I mean, that was definitely a good performance. The guy he was going against, Dylan Butka. Come on, bro.
Dylan Butka sucks, bro. Seriously. I mean, but he was able to do a little bit with the wrestling, so I don't want to see Cesar Almeida like go against any of the good wrestlers right now.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I think the first fight we talked about, guys, last night we found the trick to making unlimited money when it comes to UFC betting. And I know that this might sound too good to be true, but if you just bet money against anybody in the UFC that has a brother, that shit is almost guaranteed to hit. Because Walter Walker, like we said before the thing, bro, if he didn't do it, we're not ever touching the brothers in the
Never
UFC
again.
again.
Never again. Walter Walker's a fat slob, and he should be ashamed of himself, gassing out like gassing out within the first round. And then he's huge. He's way bigger than Bresky, and yet he didn't do shit. He could get the takedowns when he wanted them, but he got too tired to wrestle, and then he just did nothing on the feet for the rest of the fight. I could see where the judges were coming from. If you just looked at Walter Walker, you could tell he was thinking about his next meal instead of winning the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I personally was pretty surprised that they didn't give the decision to Walter Walker, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to cry about it. We thought he was going to go in there in spectacular fashion, and he didn't. So even if he won that fight by decision, we would still probably be making this video talking about him
Yeah.
because he let everybody fucking down with that performance.
Speaking of somebody who let us down, Alex Morono somehow got the decision over Court McGee. Uh, it did not look like Alex Morono won that fight to me. I mean, we picked him, so
We'll take it.
we'll take it. Yeah, lock of the week.
Yeah, but Alex Morono, we checked those stats this morning again, and it was like he had one submission attempt and significantly landed less than Court McGee. I mean, look, we said our piece on Court McGee. He definitely went out there and did more than I thought he was gonna do, but he still fucking lost. So, haha.
He probably is getting cut soon. Next fight on the card was Trevor Peek and Charlie Campbell. I mean, this was a pretty good fight, pretty
This was
exciting.
awesome fucking fight.
Yeah, that Trevor Peak was swinging for the fences. Charlie Campbell looked like he was rocked multiple times in the fight, but he stood in there, stood on business, and got the decision.
That's my thing, bro. It's like, why can't the UFC have more fights like this? These are two guys that aren't in the rankings. And like you knew before the fight like we said in the thing, one guy could knock out the other. Like it wasn't gonna be a super lopsided like a super lopsided fight or anything. And then it's like you got people like Dylan Butka who come in and just like sniff dick and like armpits and shit. Like
Yeah. You
the
have the
UFC needs to get
opportunity.
more people like Charlie Campbell and Trevor Peek in there.
Exactly. Like you have the opportunity to punch somebody else in the face, but instead you want to sniff their armpits and shit. Like,
Is that Old Spice?
oh my God.
That shit
But
is retarded.
yeah, after that, our boy Bahamondes comes in with another kick, knockout, head kick. And this was just, we saw this one coming. Like, come on.
Guys, look, we might not always be right. We might not always be wrong. If you guys are new viewers coming from the YouTube shorts we post, you know we set our piece on each of these fights, and whether we crossed any lines or not, that's up for perception. But like this guy did exactly what he said he was going to do, what we said he was going to do. And we had a time a couple months ago where we set our piece on Steve Erceg versus Matt Schnell, and Steve Erceg did exactly what we said he was going to do, and someone in the comments still had an issue, it still was leaving a negative comment when we got it right. It's like you may not, you don't necessarily have to like how it comes across with how we're predicting this shit. We predicted it and said it was a little bit vulgar, but it literally fucking
Already
happened.
happened. Like, sure, it's a little bit exaggerated, but at the end of the day, it still happens. So we were right. And even when we're wrong, when we're right, it doesn't matter. Somebody still has some shit to say anyway. So, but the real fans out there, they know that we're picking from the heart. We're giving them like unaltered.
We're being authentic. We're being
Yeah, we're being
authentic.
authentic. So whatever.
And then the next fight was Morgan Charrier versus Machine Gun, whatever the fuck his name was.
Tippe Mary Skull.
Yeah, Machine Gun Mariscal, that was his name. Guys, I don't know about fucking you, but I thought that Chepe Mariscal got his ass beat in that fight. I personally, like I said before the fight that it was gonna be close and that Mariscal was no slouch, and he wasn't a slouch in that fight. But I definitely feel like, I definitely just feel like he got the worst end of the.
Yeah, I mean the judges like they don't I don't feel like they care about wrestling anymore. Wrestling isn't as big of a factor going into the decisions anymore, I feel like. Because time and time again we're seeing these decisions where the wrestler has control time, but they're losing on the feet. And then even that, even like their wrestling isn't even taken into account because they go by damage now. And I guess just outstriking your opponent and landing the more damaging shots on the feet is what it takes now to win the fight.
Yeah, and to be honest, I am a bit of a fan of that just
Yeah,
because
I like that.
it gives everybody the mentality that they have a puncher's chance. Like if they're getting held down for 4.5 minutes of each round, but then they get up and they like are throwing some shit and they do significant damage and things like that, they can still win the fight. So, I mean, I personally didn't think that the fight went that way, but hats off to Chepe Mariscal. He's 3-0 in the UFC now. Let's put him up against another exciting fighter and see how he does.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. The
Uh,
co-main event.
Another fight we had quite a bit to say about beforehand.
Damon Jackson, Alex Hernandez. I mean, this fight, it just, how is Damon Jackson winning fights like Alex Hernandez? You suck. You should not be losing to Damon Jackson. Nobody should. If you want to do anything in that division, you can't lose to Damon Jackson.
Bro, it's like on one hand, you have the person who got more takedowns losing to the person who did more damage on the feet. In this fight, Alexander Hernandez fucking drops Damon Jackson and had him busted up at the decision and somehow lost. I mean, look, I'm not trying to be sound too salty about it. I get it. We picked the wrong fucking fighter, and that's just what it is. But I mean, there just seems to be a little bit of inconsistency when it comes to the criteria that's coming to that. But I mean, hey, good looks for Damon Jackson. I mean, he Alexander Hernandez missed weight by multiple pounds, so that's I mean that's pretty impressive that he was able to get it done against the bigger man. Yeah,
Yeah, I still don't rate him as a good fighter though. Like this is a I'm picking against him again next fight is all I had to say about
we
that.
got we'll be right at some point.
Pretty soon. But the main event, Brennan Allen, Chris Curtis.
The second lock of the week, guys. We
Uh,
said last week we were
Walking.
dropping two, and if these two hit, it made up for Vicente Luque last weekend. So as of right now, we've dropped seven locks of the week, and we've hit six out of seven of them. So take that for what you will, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was I've been seeing a lot of people on Instagram saying that Chris Curtis won this fight. I guys, if you think Chris Curtis won this fight, you don't know how to judge the fight. I don't see I honestly had Brendan Allen up like three, four rounds at most. Chris Curtis was hurt badly in the end of the fifth. He almost got taken out at the end of
I
the
think
fifth.
that's really what fucked up his chances of getting a decision, bro.
Yeah.
Because you can't think you won the fight, but you're showing the judges. I get it. Like anybody watching this, I get it. It was an injury. His body reacted that way, and there's only so much you can do. But I mean, what do you expect the judges to think when you're trying to convince them you won the fight and your body language is like, ah,
You're going out on a
like,
stretcher.
yeah. Conor McGregor wasn't trying to say he won that fucking fight when he was getting carried on a stretcher.
He was talking shit about his wife, like
Yeah.
Chris Curtis. Take some notes.
Yeah, but man, I think that this honestly, even though Brendan Allen won, I think this was a bit of a fraud check, to be honest. Like I do still fuck with Brendan Allen. I think he's a cool guy and he is a talented fighter. But I honestly think that Marvin Vettori would have been able to beat this shit out of Brendan Allen, to be real
Yeah.
with you, bro, because Marvin Vettori is really not getting taken down like that. And I just think back to his last fight against Jared Cannonier, who's more of a striker than Brendan Allen. And in the very first round of that fight, Marvin Vettori was like running that shit on the feet, like he was rocking him. So, man, I really do wish Vettori didn't pull out, and this would have been a better main event. I'll still take it. It's better than what we've been getting, but it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if you can even in a million years give Brendan Allen a title shot after that fight. So
No, 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 no.
we'll see what he does after this.
That cannot happen. That division is too stacked in like the top five area
To
for
be
that.
giving the top six, the number six guy,
Off a Chris Curtis decision. Like,
a Chris Curtis split decision. Come on, bro. But he
oh my,
also called out Sean Strickland. Brandon Allen, like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't really think that's the greatest matchup for you because Sean Strickland doesn't really get taken down like that. And Sean Strickland like beats up on Chris Curtis in sparring. So I really
yeah.
don't know if you want that work, like, to be
Chris
honest.
Curtis is Sean Strickland's punching bag. Like,
Yeah. I just don't think, I mean, it'd be, I would like to watch the fight, obviously, because it would be entertaining on the build up and just to see who gets the better of who. But I just really, if I'm Brendan Allen, I get it. You're all amped up because they called your name as the victor. But you might, like, you should sit down, let yourself heal, take some time, and like navigate to see what the next best move for is you. Because I know you're like all in, but I wouldn't be going all in on those matchups right away, bro. Like maybe I don't even know who he could run it with, to be honest.
Jack Manson or some shit.
Bro.
No, but I do like Brendan Allen. I hope he wins his next fight, but
Bro, Brendan
you know,
Allen, just put him against Jared Cannonier.
I
Problem
mean,
solved.
I like that fight. If Brendan Allen can't take Cannonier down, though, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
It's
I
an
feel
automatic disqualification of a title shot.
Jared Cannonier might fuck him up on the feet. The killer gorilla.
But anyways, guys, that's our reaction to Fight Night Allen versus Curtis 2. We're gonna try to get a good amount of content out this week for UFC 300. Just like everybody else, we're super fucking excited for this card. It's the best shit since sliced bread, and we're really gonna try to make you guys and ourselves some money this week. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, we're gonna drop the parlay that we've been talking about for weeks. We're gonna drop that this week, and I hope y'all boys follow that, tail us, and we're all gonna win big Saturday night.
Until then, boys, stay safe. GCMMA out.
See y'all boys.